Hey guys, and welcome to another brand new video. Today's video is my best books of 2018. Finally, because you know, this was supposed to be up a couple of weeks ago. Unfortunately, I didn't have time to read every book ever, and some of the missing ones might actually surprise you, and if it's missing, there's a 99.9% chance I just didn't have time to get to it. I was a lot busier than expected. I travelled a lot, which I wasn't expecting, and so I didn't have as much time to read as I normally do. Plus, I had a little bit of a slump at 1.2, which didn't exactly help things. There are actually a lot of new releases from last year that were in my anticipated reads that I still haven't gotten around to reading yet, which is kind of frustrating for me because I know I'd love them and that they should be in this video, but you know, I just didn't have the time. So out of all of the books that I did get to read in 2018, these are my favourites, and they are in no particular order. Actually, looking at my list, that's kind of a lie. They're in order of release slash order that I read them in, basically. First up, we have These Rebel Ways by Sarah Raasch. Botanical magic and pirates, you guys. We have Grace Loray. It's an island that is rich in magic, but it's been oppressed by Agrid for years. Agrid is ruled by religion, and basically there was this entire war to overthrow Agrid, and now at the time the book takes place, we are having the peace talks between the recently overthrown Agrid and Grace Loray. But during these peace talks, one of the Agridian delegates goes missing and they want justice. Our main character Adaluna was a child soldier during this war to overthrow Agrid, and she thinks that there is more going on than meets the eye, so she enlists the help of Devereaux. He is an outlaw known as a stream raider, and they basically pirate the island's magical plants and sell them on the black market. These stream raiders are the ones that are accused of the kidnap, and Devereaux becomes their prime target because, you know, he's just chilling in a cell, not really going anywhere. Luckily, he is an expert navigator, which makes him useful to Adaluna, so she springs him in exchange for his help. Our third main character is Bennett. He is the crown prince of Agrid, and he has a secret obsession with Grace Loray's forbidden magic. But then his father, the king, gives him the task of reversing Agrid's fear of magic. You all knew this was going to be on here. I love Sarah, I love her books, and you saw me screeching and raving about this book so many times throughout 2018. I love this book so much. I love pirates, and Sarah puts her own brilliant twist on them, having the stream raiders and the botanical magic. I read this so fast. I got sucked in by the vivid and cinematic storytelling and the originality and the world building and the characters, and oh my god, I just love this book so much. But the cliffhanger is no joke, and I still haven't forgiven Sarah for it, okay? I still haven't forgiven her, especially as we have to wait until September this year for the sequel. Truly Devious by Maureen Johnson. In this book we have the famous school Ellingham Academy. It was founded back in the day by Albert Ellingham. It was for the best and the brightest, and he wanted to create a place where learning could be a game. Sadly for him, not long after the school opened, his wife and daughter were kidnapped. The only clue to the murder was a mocking riddle listing various different forms of murder, and it was signed by the pseudonym Truly Devious. The mystery of what happened to Albert Ellingham's family became one of the greatest unsolved crimes in American history. In the present day, our main character Stevie is about to start her first year at Ellingham Academy. She is a true crime aficionado, and she is determined to solve the case. But Truly Devious makes a surprise return, and Death takes a stroll to Ellingham Academy again. I completely and utterly love Maureen's Shades of London series, and while I need the next book now, I did really anticipate this, and it did not let me down. Maureen wrote this so freaking brilliantly. Like, I was reading it and I found myself getting more and more like pulled in to the mystery, to the extent that I was questioning what the characters were saying and how they were saying it, and if they worded it a certain way. I was like analysing it, like, oh my god, is that a clue? Like, I was looking for clues in everything in this, and I feel like I'm gonna have to reread this before I read The Vanishing Stair and like have my own like casebook with notes. It's getting to that level. Literally everything when you're reading this seems important and seems like it could be a clue or has some bearing on things, and that is what hooks you with this. You genuinely pay so much attention while you're reading this, and it's really hard to put down because there are clues being dropped and the storytelling is interspersed with Stevie's narrative, and then you have interviews with some of the witnesses, which adds to the intrigue, and it keeps you reading as you're hoping to uncover a huge clue, and you're hoping there'll be like some kind of reveal or giant clue by the end of the book, but the ending, just no. I read this straight after I read These Rebel Ways, and I got hit by two ridiculous cliffhangers, one after the other, and I was like, why do you all hate me? Children of Blood and Bone by Tommy Adeyemi. Orisha used to hum with magic, but then a ruthless king ordered all of the magi to be killed. Zelly lost her mother, who was a reaper, and the people lost hope. Now Zelly has a chance to bring magic back and take a strike against the monarchy, but she'll need the help of a rogue princess, and she's gonna have to outwit the crown prince, who kinda wants magic eradicated for good, and she's gonna have to control her own magic. My god, you guys, this book was freaking brilliant. I read this in as few sittings as I could get away with. I could not put it down, it sucked me in. We actually cover a lot of ground in this book, and the characters do go on journeys themselves. There's one character in particular who kind of started off one way at the beginning and then by the end had grown and developed a lot and was quite different, which I was quite pleased about. The characters genuinely really do grow throughout the course of just this first book. The world building was fantastically done, it's richly written, it is vivid, it is atmospheric, and I could not read this fast enough, and I was actually disappointed to come to the end of this book and then face the wait for the next book. To Kill a Kingdom by Alexandra Christo. We have Princess Lyra. She is Siren royalty, and you know, with the hearts of 17 princes in her collection, she's pretty much the most lethal out of all of them. Unfortunately for her, one day a twist of fate ends with her killing one of her own, and as a punishment she is transformed by her mother the queen into the thing that she hates most, which is, you know, human. She is given until the winter solstice to deliver the heart of Prince Elian, or she will remain human forever. As for Prince Elian, he is heir to a super powerful kingdom, but he's not really feeling it. He'd much rather be out on his ship hunting and killing sirens. He rescues a newly human Lyra from the ocean, and she promises to help him destroy siren kind forever. This was such a brilliant read. It is a standalone, and for a standalone it is really well paced and it wraps everything up really nicely, but I was kind of really sad that there wasn't going to be a second book because I loved this so much. I loved Lyra as a main character. I loved having a kind of villain, morally grey character being one of our main narratives and being the main character. I feel like it really made for a refreshing narrative, and it did have me chuckling. Her inner monologue was hilarious at points. I also really liked Elian. I think he was a great match for her. We had a nice amount of action, we go on a quest, and I really liked how the romance developed alongside all of that. The Extinction Trials by S.M. Wilson. Our main characters are Lincoln and Stormchaser, and they live in this ruined world that is now running out of resources and space. Luckily there's a handy island nearby that they would love to expand to. Unfortunately it's inhabited by dinosaurs and they have no idea how to fight them. Stormchaser and Lincoln enter the Extinction Trials and get to be part of the lucky 100 that get to head to said island, except this time instead of scavenging for food and plants as usual, they are after dinosaur DNA. I freaking love Jurassic Park, okay, so I had to read this when it was pitched as Jurassic Park meets the Hunger Games. The world building is excellent. There is such a vivid picture painted. We have the grey dystopian Earth Asia, and then Peloria, which is straight up Jurassic Park style, but Jurassic Park, you know, when the park's shut down and the dinosaurs are running wild and everything's overgrown. It was so easy to binge read this one, and I got really sucked in and I was loving it. I have not come across a YA that features dinosaurs before, let alone in such an interesting way. I do kind of see why it's described as being similar to the Hunger Games because of the trials, but I don't fully feel like it's that close to the Hunger Games. But it is a really refreshing dystopian, and it is so cleverly done. The Smoke Thieves by Sally Green. In The Smoke Thieves we have 5 main characters and 5 nations that are destined for conflict. Brigant has Princess Catherine, who is about to marry someone she doesn't particularly want to marry for political reasons, while her true love Ambrose is facing the executioner. Calidor has March, who is a servant and he wants revenge on the prince who betrayed his people. Pretoria has Edion, who is a thief and basically steals anything shiny that isn't nailed down. And in the Northern Territories we've got Tash, who is playing bait for the demon hunter that she is teamed up with. These 5 go on quite the journey. They find their lives transformed, as well as finding themselves linked to magic and war. Honestly, trying to give you guys a good synopsis that isn't full of spoilers was really hard, okay, so I apologise if that one wasn't the best. I got so addicted to this book, I could not put it down. I loved the POV switches, it kept it fresh, it kept the plot moving forward. I loved how different all of the personalities of the characters were, and I loved reading it and trying to see how it was all going to come together and how the characters, who are all in different places, were going to come together and meet up and team up. There are so many excellent plot threads woven throughout this. It has a nice steady pace, but like I said, the multi-POVs keeps it feeling fast-paced even while stuff is being built up. And the writing is just generally excellent. But this is another one with one of those endings where it's just like, and now I have to wait a year for the next book. I really do feel like this has done an excellent job of setting up, establishing things, establishing the characters and the situation, bringing them together and getting us ready for the next phase, which is going to be in book 2. Ace of Shades by Amanda Foody. N is our main character. She has been raised a lady, but when her mother goes missing, she has to head to New Rains, the city of sin and a place that no respectable lady should go. She has one lead, and that lead is the name Levi Glacier. Unfortunately, Levi isn't the gentleman that she was expecting. He is a street lord and a con man. Levi has managed to dig himself a little bit of a hole, so he doesn't really have time to help her investigate her mother's dangerous double life. However, N's offer of compensation could solve all of his problems. They go on a quest for clues and unearth an impossible secret about her past, but Levi's enemies manage to catch up to them, and he gets the joy of participating in an execution game, leaving N to save him. I was so excited to get started on this, and it really did not let me down. I love Amanda's writing. It's always so atmospheric, and this one was no exception, and I completely binge read this and couldn't put it down. It just brings the world up around you, and I had a certain aesthetic in my mind as I was reading this. I loved the fact that Levi was morally grey. I loved N and her journey throughout the book and how she kind of went from being one way and grew and developed as a character. I loved the way the plot threads came together. I completely and utterly love Amanda's writing. Like I said, she writes so vividly and cinematically, and she does excellent world building, and I really loved the originality to it, and I was left wanting so much more. Jinxed by Amy McCulloch. In the world of this book, there is a company that's kind of like Apple called Muncher. They have created the Baku, which is a smart pet, which is basically a phone but also a perfect companion, and you can send messages, emails, it'll play you music, it'll talk to you, and so on and so forth. Our main character Lacey dreams of being a companioneer at Muncher, but she does not get into Perfectus, which is the school she needs to go to in order to make that dream happen. But when Lacey goes to retrieve her friend's Baku after an unpleasant run-in with some not very nice characters, she comes across the remains of a super advanced Baku and sets about restoring it. She spends days and days working on it and finally manages to get it up and running again. She calls him Jinx, and Jinx opens up a whole new world for her because she can finally get into Perfectus thanks to him. But Jinx's abilities far surpass anything written into his code, and he seems a bit more real than other Baku. I live for Amy's books, I can't lie. The Potion Diaries was one of my favourite trilogies because it was so much fun and so original and so different, and Jinx definitely fits with all of that. I loved it. It was fun, it was original, it was such a cracking read, it was entertaining, and honestly the world seems really plausible to me. Like, let's be real, it's not going to be long until Apple cracks this out, except unlike Muncher, Apple's going to make you have to upgrade every freaking year because the battery life will go to shit and it will just self-destroy itself, so you have to update it. Anyway, original, check. Fun, check. Ridiculously hard to put down, check. I got so engrossed in this and in the little mysteries it gave to us, and I was rooting for Lacey and hating on some characters, and we kind of have this little like Robot Wars battle between the Baku two, which was a little twist that I liked, and I was really sad to leave the world of this book, and I can't wait to get back to it. City of Ghosts by Victoria Schwab. One day our main character Cassidy nearly died, which, you know, sucked, but thanks to it she can see ghosts now. Cassidy's parents are the inspectors. They are an inept ghost hunting team. They write books and they get offered a TV series, so they drag Cassidy to Edinburgh to film it. There, Cass finds herself surrounded by ghosts. Not all of them are friendly, like for example the Red Raven, who is basically Sarah Sanderson. She sings, the children come to her, she sucks their souls out so she can live. Cass knows the Red Raven doesn't belong in their world, and she meets Lara. Lara can also see the dead, and she's all too happy to inform Cass that she is an in-betweener and not the bus wanker kind. Their job is to send ghosts permanently beyond the veil. This is a middle grade book. It's the first in a series. I love this. I sped through it. Yes, I did low-key want to hit Cass at one point because she was banging on about the difference in words between here and America, and I was just like, it's a chip, mate, get on with it. I love Victoria's writing. I love the creepy vibe to it. It was nicely paced, and I really loved getting to explore Edinburgh throughout this book and getting snippets of history and seeing an interesting kind of ghost lore, and we still have a few questions to be answered, so I am super looking forward to the sequel, which I believe is set in Paris. Shadow of the Fox by Julie Kagawa. Every millennium, whoever is in possession of the Scroll of 1,000 Prayers gets to summon the great Kami dragon and have a wish granted. Guess what time is approaching? As we start this book. The time is near, but the scroll was divided into pieces and separated. Yumiko is our main character. She is half kitsune and she has lived her entire life inside this temple, which gets razed to the ground by demons as they're searching for a piece of the scroll. She manages to escape with said piece of the scroll and runs straight into Tatsumi. He is a member of the Shadow Clan and he has been sent to retrieve the scroll piece with the orders to kill anyone who gets in his way. Yumiko has to track down the person who can point her in the direction of this temple that houses another piece of the scroll, because she wants to go there to give them the piece of the scroll that she has for safekeeping, but also to warn them about the demons that are searching for the scroll pieces. In order to do so, she teams up with Tatsumi so that she can get there safely. Of course, she lies to him and tells him that the scroll piece that he came to the temple for, that she has on her, was sent to the other temple for safekeeping, and that he can get the scroll piece when they get there. But that's not an issue yet. The demon living inside Tatsumi's sword, however, more of a pressing issue. I completely love this, okay? I love Julie Kagawa's books anyway, and when I heard she was going to be writing a new series that was set in feudal Japan, I was just like, give it to me now, I need it. There is rich writing, there is amazing world building, it is written so freaking cinematically. I could picture everything so clearly in my head, and it was atmospheric. It is so vivid. It is like you literally stepped into the book, and it is so hard to put down, and I just literally got so engrossed in this book. I love the multi-POV we got, which is mostly Yumiko and Tatsumi, but it has such an interesting other POV that you see at the beginning, and it was such an interesting way to start a book, because I was reading it and I was like, wow, this is our main character, right? And then something happened and I was just like, what is happening? What was that? I really liked the steady pace. I know not everyone got on with it because of that, but I really liked it, and I feel like it fits the book perfectly. There are a lot of battle scenes, particularly towards the end, which were excellently written too, but we have such huge old school quest vibes, and like our characters are heading to this one place, that is the main quest, but on the way there in this book we have a few side quests that they have to go on, which allows the relationship to develop with them, but also allows us to get to know not only them but also the other characters that we encounter along the way and that join that little group. This book is basically the first leg of the journey in the quest, but it really hooked me in and I completely fell in love with it. I was just so engrossed in it. I love the mythology and the action, and it was just so well done, and it was such rich storytelling. Someone please make this a TV series, okay? It needs to be a TV series. I can picture it so clearly. I also really love the romance. It is slow burn as, but it's going to be so good. We've had so many intriguing characters, a wide array of bad guys, but we've also had more mysterious characters like Shigetsu. And right at the end, the evil lady is like, oh, you're... and then she fucking dies. She dies. Who is he? Finish your sentence before you die. Have some manners. Literally, the ending had me screeching and I was just not okay, and the next book needs to appear swiftly in my life because I just can't. I can't. So those were my favourite books of 2018. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Let me know down below what were your favourite books of 2018. I will link all of my social media down below so you can come and chat to me on Twitter or check out the reviews for these books on my blog. For more similar content, feel free to hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys next video.